Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create map mods for Power. So, the first step is to download Visual Studio 2017. So go ahead and open up a browser window and type in download Visual Studio 2017. Click this first link. Scroll down, expand out 2017, and go ahead and download the Visual Studio installer. So specifically, you're going to be installing Visual Studio Community 2017, which is completely free. When you're installing that, there's just one really important thing you need to do. So if you type in Unreal Engine Visual Studio 2017 setup and click this first link and scroll down, you'll see this one screenshot here. So when you're installing Visual Studio 2017, just make sure you select the game development with C++ workload and make sure that these three checkboxes are selected. Don't worry about selecting the installer because we're going to do that separately. So once this completes, you'll have Visual Studio 2017 Community installed. And so the next step will be to install Unreal Engine. So just type in download Unreal Engine into your browser and click the first link. Go ahead and click download, and that will download the Epic launcher, which is this. And from here is where you actually install the engine. So to install the engine, you'll click Library, you'll click this plus button, you'll click this drop down here, and you'll actually select 4.2.4.3. It's not in my list, but that's because I already have it installed here. You will have it there, you just click that and let that install. So, once that's done, you'll have Unreal Engine and you'll have Visual Studio installed on this computer, which is good. So the next step is you need to download the mod kit from Atomic Lollipop. So again, open your browser, go to atomiclollipop.com, click the power link at the top, scroll down. I'm actually going to clear this out really quick because I think I already have one in here. Go ahead and download it. Do one other thing for cleanup. And so once that's downloaded, go ahead and extract it. And then take the contents of it and copy it to your C drive and make a folder in the root called Power Modding. I'm going to call mine Power Modding Demo because I already have a Power Modding folder. So for the demo purposes, I'm going to have it something different, but you should just call yours Power Modding. So we'll go ahead and paste in the contents of the zip file from our downloads folder. And then let's see. So at this point, what we want to do is copy these launch profiles that we provided in the mod kit to our Unreal Engine folder. So we'll just select both of those, copy, and we'll go to C drive, program files, Epic Games, 4.24, engine, programs, Unreal front end, and we'll create a profiles folder in there, and we'll just paste these Unreal launch profiles into that folder. So let's go back to our mod kit install here, and what we're going to do now is create our actual mod inside of the plugins folder. So you just go into the plugins folder of your ModKit, create a folder, and we're going to call this demo map. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy this uPluginTemplate.txt file that we've provided in the ModKit, and we're going to paste that into our demo map folder. And we're going to rename that to demo map.uplugin. And hit yes. Then we're going to go into the uPlugin, and we're going to configure this information. So it's the uPlugin. It's basically just a text file, but it just has this different extension here. It's also important to make sure that you kind of name everything consistently. So I always try to name like this folder and this plugin the same, as well as like the map file that I'm going to be creating inside of it. The most important thing is that this, well, really that the folder and this are the same name, and you'll see why later as we get into stuff. So let's fill this out. We'll give it a friendly name. Just call it demo map. You can use spaces there. Let's put our name in, whoever created it, and the URL of our company. And a description. And that's it. So anywhere there was X's, we're going to go ahead and replace that information. Everything else, you can just leave it the same. So the next thing we want to do is create a content folder inside of here as well. And that's pretty much all we have to do to get our mod initially set up in the ModKit. So then what we're going to do is go back out to this main folder here. And in my case, if you right click this project file, there's a few context options. I have to switch my Unreal Engine version because I have a couple different versions installed. In your case, you can just generate Visual Studio project files unless you do have multiple versions installed. So from here, I'm going to click this, and I don't want this. I'm not going to choose my source build. I'm going to choose this Epic Launcher version here, and I'm going to hit OK, and that's going to generate project files that are linked to the Epic Launcher version, which is going to be the same version that most likely you're using. So at this point, it's generated a few extra folders that weren't there, like this VS, intermediate, this solution file, which is really important. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load this solution file into Visual Studio. So I'm going to start a new Visual Studio, run it as administrator. And then I'm going to, it's already here, but I'll just show you how to get there. I'm just going to open a project. I'm going to go to my Power Modding Demo folder that we created, and I'm going to select that solution file and hit open. So there we go, it's open. The next thing we want to do is everything's pretty much already ready to go. You just have to click the Destructoid project and just go ahead and right click it and choose build. And so that's actually going to build an Unreal Engine editor for us for the ModKit, which is basically its own separate project. And then within the ModKit, we have our demo map plugin, which is actually the mod we're going to be building. So you have the ModKit, and then you have the actual mod that we're going to be building and compiling that can be put into any version of Power. So we'll check our output. This does take a little bit, so we'll go ahead and wait for this to finish. And there we go. It actually didn't take very long. You should see one succeeded here at the bottom. And then what we want to do is actually launch our ModKit editor so that we just built. So you can just go up here to debug and just hit start without debugging, or you can hit Control F5. So this will actually launch our Destructoid editor for our ModKit. So the first thing we're going to do is expand down here at the bottom left the sources panel. And then inside of here, what you'll notice is we have our demo map content folder that we created. So that's basically in plugins demo map. That's this content folder right here. Okay. So the editor already found that. The reason it found it is because it actually found this uplugin file. So it knows that we're working on a plugin in this editor because of this. So pretty nice. The first step, once we have this content folder here, is to create a subfolder. So just right click it, do new folder, and you could just give it a bunch of like random numbers like that, and you'll see why later. We need to sometimes change this to get the files to package. So it's a lot easier to change just this one folder name than it is to change the names of like all the files inside of it. So you'll see why later. But definitely create this folder with a bunch of random numbers or random letters, anything you want. Then the next step, just for organizational purposes, you don't really have to do this. I'm gonna create a maps subfolder inside of that, and then inside of this folder, I'm going to create our level. So I'm just gonna right click, click level, and then I'm gonna call that demo map. And then save it. Oh, let's see. Just go to File, Save All. And this is going to be our actual map that people are going to be playing in the game. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a map metadata file. So to do that, we just go to Blueprints, Mods, and then we want to create a child of this BP or Blueprint map metadata file. Okay, so you don't want to copy it, you actually want to create a child of it. So you click it, then you can right click it, and then choose this create child blueprint class. That will create a child, and then we'll go ahead and just drag that in from this folder, which is up here. This is our main content folder for the ModKit for the whole project, but we want to actually have this file in our actual in our mod itself, not the ModKit. So we're going to drag that down here into this maps folder, and we're going to hit move. So we'll go to our maps folder here, and we want to rename this, and it's very important that when you name it, you start it with MMD underscore. So that stands for map metadata underscore. And then I always like to name things consistently. So again, we're going to call it map metadata demo map. So at this point, we will open the map metadata and we'll fill out some of the information, and that'll be over here on the right. And so the map name, again, we'll just call it demo map. You can use spaces there. This is the name that will appear in the game when people are selecting it. The author will be myself. This is very important. You have to get this right. So it's got to be this exact file name of your level that you created. So ours is demo map with no spaces, just like that. And then the game modes. So we have 3 game modes currently. We have, you can also dismiss this here, this plugin warning. So we have LMS for last man standing. We have CTF for capture the flag. And we have TDM for team deathmatch. So any one of those 3 acronyms can be used here. I'm going to make a capture the flag map for you guys. So just call it CTF. So it's important to get, has to be one of those 3 here. And that's it. And then we're going to compile it and save it. So the next thing we want to do is, we can close this out. We actually want to load our level here that we created. So I just double clicked it. I can see up here, demo map is loaded. And what you'll need to do is, you won't see what we need here yet. So you have to go to Window and go to World Settings here. And that will pop up this World Settings tab. The other thing to note is, if you don't see this demo map content folder, by the way, one of 2 things happened. Either one, you didn't make this a uPlugin extension, you left it as a .txt, so check that if you don't see that. And also, if you go to view options, you have to make sure that show plugin content is selected. So if it's like not selected, you'll see it actually disappears and you'll get confused. You'll be like, well, where is it? So you have to actually choose show plugin content and you'll see it. So I'm going to go back in here, and I have demo map loaded. I have the world settings tab loaded. And so what I need to do is this game mode override and these selected game mode options here. I actually need to set that to my game mode type that I'm going to be using. So in this case, I'm going to use the gameplay GM or game mode for capture the flag. So I click that, and then all of these will fill out automatically. So that's really important. This has to be done, or else you won't have any of the gameplay functionality in your map. So if you were to like build this and load your map in the game, it'll run, but like you won't be able to move around and you might get confused. So if that happens, you'll know that you just forgot to set these game mode classes up like this. So let's see what's next. Okay, so what we want to do is, I provided these these map templates here as a separate plugin, just to make things a lot easier on you guys. And so for capture the flag, we need to copy just these 2 child classes. You can make them yourself, but it's easier just to copy them from here. And we want to copy these into our own map, basically. So I'm just going to highlight both of them, and I'm going to click and drag, and then I'm going to say not move, but copy here. So then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to save all. And then what I'm going to do is, my demo map is loaded, and these are copied over so we can use them in our map. These are the actual base locations. And I'm going to next go back to these to this template folder, and I'm going to open up this ModMap CTF template. And what that does is it provides you a map with like all the necessary components for a CTF match. So it just makes it like really easy on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to here to the World Outliner, and we're going to select all the individual components. So in this case, the directional light, skylight, the wind directional source, and we're just going to go through and select all the components. You don't have to select the folders, it'll automatically bring those over, but you do have to select all of the parts inside of them. We're not going to bring the base child in, and I'm going to show you why later, because that's why we copied these over, because we're going to use the ones not from the map template, but from our own map mod. So just leave that one out. Copy everything else. Spawn points. Leave this one out. Copy these pickups, health and shield pickups, and these things. And we're just going to hit Control C for copy. And remember, we have the mod map CTF loaded right now. And so we're going to go back to ours. We're going to load our demo map, and we're going to click right here, and we're just going to Control V for paste. And boom, there we go. So we already have a lot of the components we need to make a capture the flag map already set up for us. So the next thing we're going to do, and we're going to save it, is we're going to bring these two base locations in. And so this is the red side of the map. So I'm going to drag this team red base over here to the red side, and we'll adjust that in a second. And then I'm going to drag the team blue base over there. Then what I'm going to do is just kind of like adjust them a little bit to make sure they're nice and centered. So I'm going to go up here and go to top, zoom out. So here's one of them. So I'm just going to center it like right here. And I'm going to go to the other one and center that as well. There we go. We're going to save it. And let's see what's next. So just to note, the only purpose of these right here is just so that an icon appears in the HUD for these base locations, just to let you know why they're there. You can make your base anywhere and just put these there, and that will just ensure that there's an icon on your HUD for those bases. Definitely something you need. I'm sure the game's looking for them, although it might still run without them, but definitely make sure they're in there. So the other thing I want to show you is once you're done with this, you actually have basically like a fully working capture the flag map at this point. And I'll show you something kind of neat. So if you click demo map and you right click and go to reference viewer, you just want to make sure that see these child classes, they're actually pointing to demo map, which is our map mod, which is really good. Like, we don't want this pointing out to the map templates folder. So you just want to make sure that your references, like your level, is pointing to stuff that's in your actual map mod folder. And also, it's okay to have them also pointing to the root game as well. So long as that's the case, you can just check them. So everything's pointing to game and everything's pointing to our demo map, then we're good to go. So that's just a nice way to check your references within Unreal Engine. So let's see what's next. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to import some really nice free assets to build your levels with from the Unreal Engine Marketplace. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Epic Games Launcher. We're going to go to the Marketplace. And this particular pack is called Super Grid. So just type that into the search. And yeah, we want to get this Super Grid starter pack. It's free, so you can just click it. You can hit buy, but it's free. And then once you do that, you'll have this create project button. So you want to click that. And then you want to, it's always good to install it into this default folder, which is just Documents Unreal Projects. Make sure you select 4.24 as your version that you want to get it for. I think that'll be set by default. And then just hit create. And that will download and create a project, like a starter project for this. And I'll show you how to get the assets out of this into your map mod. So it looks like that completed already. And so what I'm going to do is from the editor, I'm going to go to File, Open Project, and because we put it into that default Documents Unreal Engine project folder, it should automatically find it here. If not, you can just go to Browse and find it yourself, which will be, like I said, Documents, or wherever you installed it, Unreal Projects, the Supergrid Starter Pack, and just open that project. So that will shut down our mod kit project, which is fine. We'll be back to that in a second. So it's opening up this Supergrid Starter Pack now. And this is going to give you a really nice start to like building your levels. So you can just dismiss this. It's compiling a bunch of shaders right now. This is a demo map that they've provided that's built, just with the assets that are in this package. So as you can see, it's pretty amazing. Like you can build some really nice levels with it. You can see how really all they're doing is they're just combining these basic shapes together. Look at that. That's just like a rectangle. These are just rectangles, like, placed in this particular orientation, and they're literally going right through each other, but altogether it looks pretty cool. So you can see how you can combine these basic shapes to create some pretty advanced looking stuff. So it's a really nice way to get started quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand this sources panel out. And what we want to do is expand Supergrid. And we don't want the tutorial level. All we want to do is migrate this starter pack right here. So just right click that and choose migrate. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell you here that it's going to pull all these files from the Supergrid starter pack and then migrate them to, when I click OK, to wherever we want them to go. So what we want it to do is we want to migrate them to our C drive power modding content folder. So you just want to, you have to make sure that they're getting migrated into this content folder, and it's not the content folder of your plugin. You'll have some problems if you put it here. Make sure it's the content folder of your actual mod kit that you're migrating them into. So just hit select folder, and it will migrate the entire starter pack over there for us automatically. So the next thing we want to do is actually go back and load our mod kit again. So you just go to File, Open Project. We'll browse to it. Oops, C drive, power modding, and we're going to load this project again. It's loading our mod kit again. And so what you'll see is that in this content folder of our mod kit, we actually have the Supergrid content. So what we want to do now is from here, we actually just want to drag that into this folder here of our demo map. So just do that and then hit, you actually want to move it. So we're going to move it. So it takes just a second here. So while this is doing this, you can do that with literally any content from the marketplace, just what I just did. There's always a way, and there's a lot of content on here, a lot of assets and like effects and textures and all sorts of stuff you can get. It's really amazing. And so anything you want can be essentially either like imported or migrated in some way over to your mod. So very powerful. And so at this point, what we want to do is we want to fix up the redirects so that we can delete this properly. So we're going to click Content. We're going to go to our Filters, Miscellaneous, and choose the Redirector filter. And we're going to notice that it's right here. You can click it on and off. There's a couple redirects that need to be fixed up. So we're going to click both of those, right click and hit Fix Up. And there you go. So that will get rid of any redirectors. And then at this point, we can just delete. There's nothing in here really. We can just delete this folder here. It stayed around, I think, because of the redirectors. But since those are fixed up, it means that it properly moved all the files on our actual file system from this folder to this folder here. So that's obviously really important. So we can right click and just delete the Supergrid folder just from our ModKits content folder. So delete. It'll ask us to be sure, yes, and that's it. So at this point, we're actually ready to start building our demo map. So we're gonna go ahead and load that. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my scale snapping to 1. I highly recommend to use snapping because it makes it a lot easier to align stuff later if everything's kind of like, you know, in like, I don't know if you call that like base 10 basically. So 1, 10, or whatever, just any of these settings, just so long as you're using snapping, it makes things a lot easier to align later. And you'll see as we start building this. So I'm going to show you guys how to utilize the Supergrid assets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse all these folders in our world outliner. And I'm going to replace this kind of like base cube here. So I'm going to hit delete. And then I'm going to save that. I'm going to go into our Supergrid folder. So inside of Supergrid, inside of the starter pack, and then inside of source, and then meshes. Like this is basically where you're going to be working out of to get your components for your level. So what you can do just to test, you can just click one of these, like double click, open it, and you should see that it's that the textures are loaded and that it loads properly, and that means the whole migration process and the moving worked properly and was successful. And I'll show you later how to get rid of some of this blotchy stuff here. And so theoretically you could do that from here, but I'll show you another way. If you did it from here, it would save to all assets later, which is kind of nice instead of overriding that. And so what that is, the reason it's blotchy is because you have to adjust the shadow bias. So it's because of these distance field shadows. So for example, if you were just to set this to like 100, you can see they go away. So I guess theoretically you'll have to do that for every single asset here. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I'll just save that for now. You can do that yourselves. Just hit save all. And so yeah, you just type you go to details, shadow, and adjust the shadow distance field shadow bias to 100 to get rid of that. You can even make this higher. You'll see later as we make these bigger, you might need to adjust this bias. So actually just set it back to default for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the this centered version here. So I'm just going to drag that into my level, and then I'm going to go to the details panel here, and I'm going to first reset it to the default position, which is just 0, 0, 0 here. So you'll see it's right in the middle of our level now. And so there's a couple things we can do. So this is how pretty much all these little these assets, they start as these single unit blocks. And so the way to work with them is to go up here to the scaling. And from here now you can just drag these scales to make them larger or smaller. So the reason I chose a snap of 1 is because it's basically like one block. I can like move it out block to block. Of course you can set that to whatever you want. if you want, for example, to have a little more precision, you can just like go to like 0.5 and you'll see it'll do only half blocks. I'm going to keep it at 1 for now. And so you can drag this in any direction. Look at that. So you can make, anything you want. I'm going to go ahead and just do this manually over here. I'm just going to set the scale to 100 by 100 by 0.5. That'll make it a little bit lower. And so that creates this nice kind of base platform. So from here, what I'm going to do is I always like to name everything just to keep it organized. So we'll just call this like, base platform or something. And we'll just keep it out here in the root. And I'll go ahead and save all. And so then what I'm going to do is just create a couple platforms for the bases to show you how to do that. So I'm going to drag another centered block in here, and it will automatically snap to these two faces will snap together, so it'll be hanging out on the ground there. One cool thing is if you click in the editor here, and this is like up high, you can just hit the end key on your keyboard, and it will automatically snap it so that these faces match up together. So that's really useful. I use that a lot. And so what I'm going to do is create, for this blue side, I'm just going to create a little platform. So just like expand this out and expand this out. And then maybe bring it up a little bit. Then I'm going to go to my top view, kind of get this centered. So go back to translate. So you can click here, it'll translate it on that entire plane, on this XY plane here. If you just click, or you can just do it in one direction by clicking the individual arrows. So what I'm going to do is move this so that it's, about right here. Actually, I'm going to try to like center it up right there. This is the center of the level, this red line apparently, which is just my x-axis here. And then I'm going to go back out to perspective mode. So what I'm going to notice is all the stuff's buried, like the flag and the spawn points and the flag location and the base location. So I'm going to show you how to bring those up. So I'm going to go to my base. This is my blue base. I can tell by these colors here. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to move the flag up. So I'm going to grab the flag and the the flag and the flag location, and I'm going to click in the editor, drag them up, and then I'm going to hit end. So you have to make sure that before you hit end that you actually have clicked in the editor, or in this I'm not sure what you call this viewport first. It has to be clicked, and then you hit end to snap it down. If you just click here and then click end, you'll hit end and it will just scroll down to the bottom here and you might get confused. So the key is click them both, drag it up in the viewport, and then hit end, and you'll have these snap down properly to the right location. So there's our flag. The generator's fine. That's over here, so we're not going to mess with that. But we want to also move our spawn points up here. So again, drag in. There's all of our spawn points for the blue side, and just hit end, and that will snap them down onto the platform. And we also, one thing I forgot to do was we want to take these bases here. So here's our blue base. So we're going to want to copy that into the blue base. So we can just click and drag. And there's our blue base location. So again, we're going to want to drag that up and then hit end, and that will snap it down as well. And yeah, and then I'm going to put the red base in as well in here. So that'll be in here. And yeah, we're done with the blue side. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this. Oh, and we want to, this is for the blue side. So I'm going to call this like blue base platform. And I try to just keep things really organized, because as your level becomes more complicated, you're going to want this organization. So I'm just going to drag that right in here. So in our blue base, we have our blue base platform and the location so that the icon appears above it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it, this platform, and I'm going to click Control W, and that will actually create a copy of it. It'll create a duplicate. So then I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to call this the red base platform. And then I'm going to go to my top view, and I'm going to move the red base platform over to the red base side. Center it up. And I'm also going to move the platform over to the red base as well. So nice and organized. I'm going to go back up to perspective mode. I'm going to fly over here. You can adjust your flying speed or your camera speed up here at the top right. So I'm just going to set it to like 5. Just gets us around a little bit faster. And so, yeah, I'm going to now kind of do the same thing I did with the blue base. So grab the flags, move them up, hit end, snaps it down. I'm going to grab the spawn points, move them up, snap them with end, and I'm going to grab just the blue base location, drag it up, snap it down. So we have our bases here now. So the next thing I'm going to do, just kind of for fun, is I'm going to show you a couple more things. I'm going to bring in this hexagon, drop it in the middle of the level. So you can really start building out your level at this point. I'm going to go to the top view. I'm going to center that right in the middle of the level. Then I'm going to go to my scaling, and I'm going to like try to scale it in the X and Y at the same time. So look at that. As I click and drag, I can make kind of this big structure here, and then I'll scale it up as well, like that. And then what I'll do is add a couple ramps to like get up onto the top of this. So here's like a super grid slope. I think that'll work. So we'll bring that in. So it starts kind of small. You can see it here. So I will go ahead and rotate that about 90 degrees. There we go. And at this point, I'm going to start scaling it so that it fits onto this side. So like about right there. Make this a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. So I obviously want it to be matched up perfectly. So let's see. So I'm going to first center it up. In this direction. And then I'm going to go back to scaling. And because I'm using snapping, it should be pretty easy to get it to be the exact height, which is like about right there. And then what I can do is, I'm actually going to make this a little bit oversized. And then I'm going to bring it back. And there you go. So because I'm using snapping, I was able to get it to be pretty much exact, the alignment of it. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this slope that I made. I'm going to save everything. I'm going to call this the I guess the blue. So blue base slope. And I'm going to drag that into the blue base. Actually, you know, I'm just going to leave it out. I'm going to call this the you know, like central arena hexagon or something. And then I'm going to make a copy of the blue base slope here. So Control W on it. and I'm going to just bring that kind of over here. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. And I'm going to try to align that here as best I can. There we go. You could also check it from like the sides here. See, that's pretty nice. So you can actually, I guess it's not perfect. I guess because this isn't right in the center, basically. I'm not even 100% sure, but I'm definitely not a master level creator, so that's probably good enough for me. That should work. And so as you can see, you can just really start building out your level using these objects here, and you can make some really intricate stuff over time. And remember, you don't have to use these. You can bring your own stuff in, or you can get other assets off the marketplace to bring those in as well, to make your levels. So this is just for the demo. So what I'm going to do now is I've kind of created the like a basic just like a basic level for you guys with the Supergrid components. And I'm going to show you a few other things that are really neat. So this level has full access to like all of the engine components. So for example, one thing you might want to do is maybe you want to create like some post-processing effects and give your level a little bit different of a look. So what you can do, for example, is go to visual effects. You can bring in like a post-processing volume. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing this off just because I think it's kind of cool. Center it up. The volume, you can scroll down in the details panel and you can make it, for example, an infinite extent. So that means it'll automatically affect the entire map. Or you can make it where when someone just walks into an area, it changes, and it would just be this one little area. You can make that bigger or smaller, and it will change the look of the game in that area. But I'm going to make it infinite, and I'm going to show you how. I'm not going to show you everything. There's a lot of stuff you can adjust, but I just want to show you how once you have this in there, you might want to put it into like atmosphere and lighting in here. So you have that there. You can start to adjust like some pretty cool stuff like post-processing effects in your game. So for example, you could do bloom, and you could click this to override it, and you could like, look at that, adjust the intensity of your bloom. You could add like a vignette jitter and like intensity, so just like drag these up, and look at that, like create some really cool effects in your game. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to delete that, and there's a lot. You can read about it online. There's just a lot you can do with this. You can change almost the entire look and feel of the game using this here. So those are just post-processing effects. Of course, anything built into the engine can just be put into this. So I'll remove that for now. The next thing I'll show you is you can also use, point lights. So you can just go to lights. You can just drag a point light in, and look at that. Instant lighting. You can, of course, adjust any of the aspects. So like the intensity of the light here in the details panel. How much, like the attenuation radius. You can change like the color of the light. Any color you want. Look at that. And you can, of course, just drop these anywhere you want in your level. So again, like full access. You can use any of the engine components in your level, and those will work. So the other thing I'm going to show you, which is really important, is I've provided some basic directional light and skylight here, although the skylight's not really working because it's meant to reflect things in the distance onto the level, but we don't really have anything in the distance. So I'm going to show you, because I think a lot of people are going to want like a basic atmosphere in their game, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's delete the directional light and the skylight. So now it's completely dark. And that's why I added them, just so it wouldn't be initially completely dark. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to enable the what's called the Sun Sky plugin. So just go to plugins, edit plugins, and go to built-in and search just for sun, and that will give you this sun position calculator. So just hit enabled and hit restart. That's going to restart our editor. So that will be enabled now. You can search for it. You'll see it's checked. So that's good. And so now we can load our map again here. And we haven't put it in yet. But what that does is it gives us access to this really amazing functionality that they added into 4.24, I believe it was, or maybe even a little bit earlier. But you can type in sun, and that gives us this sun sky functionality. So you can just drag that right into your level. And then let's put that into our atmosphere and lighting. And I'm going to show you how to use this. So the first thing is it's way too bright. So what you need to do is you need to click on it, details panel, and then drag down the component list here. And the reason I got rid of the original directional light and skylight is because this sun sky actually comes with its own directional light and skylight. So we don't want duplicates. So what we want to do is click directional light, and it comes at 75,000 lux, which is like really, really, really high. But that's meant because it's supposed to be used with the ArcViz system, and we're not going to be using it with that. So we're just going to drop this down to like the default of 10 lux. And then there you go. That's going to give us a couple things. It's going to give us this really nice atmosphere and the sun. And again, you can read about this online. You can change, like if you click the sun sky base here, you can change, you know, the time of day. It's already set by default, like the it uses sky atmosphere. It's set for like Earth defaults for the Earth atmosphere. But what you can do is you can like literally just, you know, change the location of the sun, and it handles all the atmosphere and lighting effects for you. And that's just built right in to Unreal. And so what it also does, because there's an actual skybox now, and we have this skylight built in, it properly like lightens up our shadows, which is nice. And also by using the skylight, you can do like inside levels and underground levels, and like this lighting won't affect them. So you'll have proper shading and whatnot inside of those. These are set, and I think they have to be, they're set to movable, which means all these shadows are dynamic shadows, but I'm pretty sure you can go to static. We do support that now, or stationary, and you can actually build your own light maps, but I'm not going to cover that here. But I just wanted to show you how most games, I'm assuming most maps are going to have some kind of like atmosphere, so this is just like a really quick way to get a nice atmosphere, lighting, and like correct shadows and a skylight, and everything you need for your level in that respect. So what I want to do is I'll show you really quick. As you can see, there's some artifacts here because of the distance field stuff we have in this game. And so to get rid of that, you can just like click this platform. And I believe, let's see. Yeah, you're gonna have to click this static mesh component here, and then search. Let's see actually. Yeah, I guess you can just click this base part. You can click this override distance field self shadow bias. So click that button, and then you can just give it like 100, and you can see it gets better. And that's one way to fix that. Or you can even make it like 1,000, or even higher, 10,000, whatever you want to get rid of the kind of the shadow artifacts that might be undesirable for you. I'm just going to leave that for now, but I just wanted to show you how to fix that in case you run into it and want to get rid of it. And so like I'm going to show you kind of like how this world outliner is set up. So of course you're familiar with this already. Wind directional source. It allows your flags to wave in the wind, so you can adjust that if you want. like with strength, speed, the gust, radius. You can see them actually if you go here to play. If you go to like simulate, see, you can actually see them like simulating physics, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you later too. You don't necessarily have to use these flags, but I've included them because it'll just make stuff easier on people at first. These things also simulate, so they start to rotate. These are some like health pickups and shield pickups. I probably need to like adjust those a little bit. Let's like pull those out of the ground. So what I'm going to do is they're actually here under pickups. So I'm going to grab all the health pickups here. I'm just going to move them up and then hit end, and that'll just snap them to the ground. We'll do that for the shield pickups as well. So move them up, snap them down, and there you go. Nice and fixed. We'll save it. Get rid of this. So basically, you have inside the bases some of the things we brought in automatically when we copied them in. Is you have your flag location component. It's just an empty actor component right here that I brought in. The key to this is this is the location where your flag's going to return to after it's been captured. And so the key here is that you have to always have this in a capture the flag mode, but it doesn't have to be named like this here. The key is that it has a actor tag attached to it, and this is what it looks for in the game. It looks for this tag on that actor when it wants to place the flag back. The blue flag, same thing. It has a tag on it already, so it's called blue flag. That's really important. The game uses that in the code to like do a bunch of stuff. So, make sure you have that. Again, that's why we copy and pasted this stuff in, so it would be done for you. But I just wanted to show you this so you understand kind of like what this stuff is and how it's set up. So like the generator, that's this one over here, I think. So you have your actual like model of it, and then you also have the location of it as well. That's important. So you have both. And again, they just have tags on them that the game looks for. Under actor tag, so that's an actor and a generator. And of course the spawn points. Again, they have some tags on them as well. See Team Blue spawn. So all of these have that same tag, so that the game knows where where the spawn points are that team can spawn at. So the other thing I'm going to show you is, let's say you wanted to not use this model. What you can do is you can go here to the mod kit. You can expand out blueprints, CTF, bases, and you can take one of these, this blue generator core or red generator core, and you can actually just right click, create a child class, and then you can bring that into your into your mod here. So in this case, you might just like pull it in here to the root folder. So just gonna hit move, and you'll see it here. You might want to create a different folder for that, of course. So you could just do whatever you want. You can call it generators, doesn't really matter, and put that in there. And what you can do is you can just double click that child class, and what you can do is actually just give it up here for the generator core. That's the mesh right here. You should be able to replace it. I'm not sure why that's not allowing me to at this point. That's really weird. Oh, I know why. Because I have them still in simulate mode, I think. So I was trying to modify it while it was running. So if I go back, if I go to generator core, I can actually just replace this with, I can bring a mesh in. I can bring my own mesh in that I made in Blender. You can just go to like import and import your own meshes, and any file, like all these files can be imported into the game. So like textures and like FBX like model files. And so just for demo purposes, I'm going to use, just like one of these like super grid like boxes, and I just click it. I can just set this back to like 0, and like there you go. There's your a replaced generator model, and of course you can give it your own texture here as well. Not really sure why that's not changing, but no, there it goes. And so once that's done, you can compile it, and what you can do is you can drag this in. You could like theoretically delete the one, this is the blue generator, so you would like delete this one in the game. I'm not going to actually do it, but you could delete that and then instead just drag this one in instead, and like that would be your generator. And of course the key is like you have to just make sure that, and it should, because it's a child, it just has to have the actor and generator tags on it, and then that will be now the blue generator that has your own model. Just in case you want to do that, you could do the same thing with the flags in case you want your own flag models. Just make a child, replace the in this case the skeletal mesh, or the static mesh on this, and I think it's actually a skeletal mesh for the flags, and yeah, just drag it in. And so I'm actually going to get rid of this, and I'm actually going to delete this as well. Just wanted to give you a quick example of how that can be done. So just saying it's a reference in memory, but that's fine. I'm just going to delete it anyways. And again, so like if you want, you can really bring in, your own stuff, or you can bring in stuff from the marketplace as well, just using this import button, models and textures. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to build this. Let's see. I'm going to try to build this and package it into a mod that we can upload and play. So I'm going to go to Window, Project Launcher, and these are going to be those launch profiles that we copied in earlier. So they should pretty much be set up for you. We'll go in and look. Just do a quick look over, make sure. The key is like it has to be 1.0, and we want to make sure it stores all the content into a single pack file. I guess it should be in shipping. It's going to save into this power modding demo area here. And so we don't really have to change anything there, so we can just hit back, and we can actually just run that, and we got to wait for that to build. So this is actually building the ModKit project for us at version 1.0, and that's always the first step. And then from there, we want to build the mod itself. And if you just try to build the mod first without building this first, you'll actually get an error. So it built everything. Now it's just it's cooking all the content. And so cooking just, it's interesting. It kind of makes it like cross-platform in some way, I think, and kind of like compiles everything together, all the assets. So it cooked everything. It built the game code, cooked all the assets. It's packaging and done. So we just hit done here, and then we do have to configure this mod launch profile. So now we built the game, this part, so we actually want to build now our own demo map mod. So we'll go to the project launcher, we'll edit the the mod launch profile, and we want to, at this point, instead of Mr. Bones, we're going to call this demo map. So it's really important that this is named to the same exact folder name in your plugins folder. If you don't do this, you'll get an error, basically, of some kind. So just make sure it's named exactly like that, and then it will automatically go find this and build that. And also, in my case, I'm actually using a different folder than Power Modding, slightly different. I'm actually, just because I already had that, I'm using the, you don't have to do this in yours, but I'm going to be using, I'm going to create a builds folder here. So I'm going to target my builds folder for Power Modding demo. And yep, this is good. It's targeting 1.0. It's putting everything to a pack file. We've told it to build DLC, downloadable content, and we're good. So we're going to go ahead and hit back, and we're going to try to build the mod. So I'm going to show you something here. This actually, we forgot one step, but it's actually good because I want to show you what happens when you do that. So at this point, we've actually built our pack files for the mod. That was successful, so that's really good. No errors. But we always want to check the pack file to make sure all the assets got packed in, and I'm going to show you that. So you just go here, search for your command prompt, right click, run as administrator, and hit yes. And you need to go to your Unreal Engine folder that contains the Unreal Pack exe. So I'm just going to copy that in here to save some time. So it's just your program files, Epic Games, UE 4.24, Engine Binaries Win64, and then inside of there you're going to have this file called Unreal Pack. So I'm going to try to build this here to analyze that pack file. So the pack file we just made is actually going to be in the Power Modding demo, and it's going to be in builds. I'm just going to go through Windows No Editor, Destructoid, plugins, demo map, content, packs, Windows No Editor again, and there we go. So this is actually the pack file we just built, and it's actually empty, but I'm going to show you that here. So what I'm going to do is just create like a temporary text file here to put some of this information into. So this is the path, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running Unreal Pack here .exe. So I'm just starting to build this up into something that I can save. So Unreal Pack exe, and this is going to ultimately be run here out of this folder here. And I'm just going to paste that in a second. So then we're going to be analyzing the this file here. So I'm going to put a backslash and then the name of the file, and then finally just dash list, that list option. So I'm just going to select that whole thing, copy it, I'm going to paste it into here and hit enter, and boom, it finds the file. However, there's actually like nothing in that pack file. The way to fix that problem is if you go back to your editor, just hit done, go back to the map here. And so this is why we created this file, this folder with a bunch of random numbers, is because in order to get the actual, all this stuff to pack in, we have to change that. And anytime you rebuild your game profile, you actually have to redo this. So if that ever happens after you're checking it, you're like, whoa, nothing's in there. You always know you can go back here, you can give it like a new set of numbers, some random numbers, and you can see it's doing a bunch of stuff here. And then what we want to do is once that's done, we want to make sure we don't want to build game again because that'll cause the same problem. We just want to rebuild the mod again. So just go here to launch the profile, let it rebuild. And so I'm going to go back here now, and I'm just going to hit up to rerun that, and boom, look at that. We got all of our assets now, all the super grid stuff, and we have our our bases, and we have our map metadata, and we have our demo map. All that's in this pack file now. It's all been packed properly. So yeah, so that's good to go. So we can close that out. So now what we need to do is actually grab this stuff. So we're gonna go back to our C drive, power modding demo, and we're gonna get that pack file and our asset registry bin file into our desktop so we can kind of test out the map. So we'll go through this here. So we'll go to builds. We're gonna grab the pack file first. We're gonna go through this again. Windows No Editor, Destructoid, plugins, demo map, content, packs, and we're gonna just copy this out of there to our desktop, to this mod folder on our desktop, and then we're going to rename this so that it's the same as what the plugin name was. It's very important to do that. So it's just demomap.pack. Okay, that's on our desktop now. Then we're going to go back here and we're going to go grab the bin folder. So we're going to go back to the main C drive power modding demo, and that's actually going to be in a little bit of a different folder. So that's going to be under plugins, demo map, saved, cooked, Windows No Editor, Destructoid, plugins, demo map, and there we go. There's our asset registry. So this is actually our it's all the files. It's a registry of all the files that are in our pack file, so that the engine can knows what to load in from here into the main game when we load our mod in. You can see this is a 20 megabyte file now, and this is 61 kilobytes, which is, just like I said, referencing all the files that are in here. And one other thing we want to do, very important, or else this won't load properly, is we actually want to put this into a folder in our mod folder called demo map. So we'll click both of them and we'll put it in there. If you don't do this, like if you don't put them into this folder, it will not, the game won't be able to find it. Like these assets won't get loaded and you won't see it in your map selection. So let's see. So we actually have a fully working mod at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to test it in the game with you guys right now to make sure it actually loads and everything's working. So we'll give that a shot. So what we're going to do is close this. We don't need that anymore. So it's in this folder here. I'm gonna launch the game from Steam. So hopefully it records all this. I haven't tested that yet. And so at this point, what I want to do is to test this mod out just by myself. I just want to go to options and go to gameplay, and I want to make sure that this use custom mod folder is checked here. And then I want to make sure that I have my custom mod folder pointing to that mod folder on my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and click save once that's set up. And I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to restart the game to make sure that takes hold. So I'm just going to Steam here. I'm just literally launching the Power game here. And so the game now is going to go read that folder for the mods locally. When you host a game, when you have that option selected here, your game will not be live on Steam. So you just go to host game. So you can't play it with other people yet, but you can kind of test it yourself. So I did make a capture the flag map, so I got to make sure I select capture the flag. And we're just going to call this test. Hit accept. So now we're in the lobby, and so this is a big test. Like, we hopefully will see the map under game settings. So I click game settings, and right now it's set to original island. So if I click this down, there it is, demo map. So I can just click that, hit accept. I can select my team. You know, I can select my skin. I don't have any skins in that mod folder, so there's nothing. But I can select one of the default ones, and I can just hit start session. So hopefully this works. And boom, look at that. We are in our map, right inside of Power. There's our flag. There's our generator. It looks like we can walk up and around stuff. Jump around. I just picked up the blue flag, so we can test to make sure. I can ski, I can jetpack. I'm gonna go try to capture this. Just captured it. I'm gonna head back over. Grab it again. Everything should work. So you should be able to shoot the generators. You know, switch weapons. Looks like these didn't come in correctly. Not really sure why. I can pick up these pickups. So, just got some shield. And yeah, this is generally pretty much working. I'll have to look at these and maybe edit the comment later as to why these like are into the ground. They shouldn't have been. Maybe I just didn't save it or something. Not really sure. But yeah, those should have been out. I didn't save this, I don't think. So I think I did it on this one block, so you don't see it, or maybe not actually. I think I just didn't save that, but that will work if you change that shadow bias. But yeah, you have like a fully working map, mod map here in Power. And you can place these pickups, like health pickups, anywhere you want, since we don't have the digging anymore for these maps, because there's no terrain. Yeah, and next thing I'm going to show you is how to upload this map to the Steam Workshop so that you can play it with like other people. So let's try to do that now. So I'll quit, but to upload the files now, your mod files to the workshop, it's actually integrated into the game now. It's no longer part of the mod kit. So I'm just gonna go to play. And I'm actually gonna upload them from that mod folder I created on my desktop. So I'm gonna go to upload mod here, that's in the game main menu. It's going to be a new item, and I'm going to give it a title. So we're just call it like demo map. Give it a description. Demo map for Power. And then I'm going to just copy paste. This is the path to my mod folder, actually. It'll just be mod on my desktop. And also I'm going to use the thumbnail JPEG I have on my desktop, and I'm going to select the tag. So this is a map mod, so I'm just going to select map. You can select both if you want, if you were going to have skins in your mod as well, but this is just a map, so I'm just going to select map, and I'm just going to hit upload. And there you go. It's actually like preparing all the content, and then it's going to upload it to Steam so that other people can grab this. So we'll let this finish. There we go. So we got 2 OKs, so that's good. And we're going to hit back, and we're going to quit. I guess I'll show you. You should be able to edit items now as well. So if you just went back and you go to upload mod, go to edit item, you can select your items and you can like put all new information in here, and it will modify, it'll update this particular item. So if you're just working on your level over time and iterating it, you can always go here to edit the level and like update the latest version, and that will automatically be downloaded by everybody as you update it. So we'll go quit. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to we're going to type power on Steam, and we're going to go try to find this on the workshop. So under Community Hub, this does take a little bit to upload. So you can just go to Workshop here in the Community Hub. You can go to Browse Items, and you can say Most Recent. And so it's just not up there yet, so we'll wait a minute here, and it should eventually appear if we wait a couple minutes. So I will let you know, like, it'll be up there in a sec, but like, hopefully. I'll just refresh. Once it's up there, all you have to do, anybody can just click it and subscribe to it. And it will automatically download, and then they will have it, and then they can host it. And I'm going to show you one other thing that's like really important. And boom, there it is. That's the demo map that we just created, and it's up on the workshop, so you can click it. And you can subscribe to it here. I guess I'll show you that. So I will subscribe to it, and once it's subscribed, Steam will actually start to download it. See, it's actually downloading right now. It just downloaded that to my Steam Workshop folder, because I don't necessarily want, like, you know, from here I can only play it by myself. But I'm going to show you now. If I load the game back up, one thing I want to do is go to power. We'll hit play again. And actually only the host needs to subscribe to it. Everybody else will automatically download that mod map when they connect to you. The most important thing is we have to go back to options, and we have to make sure we unselect this here. Because if you don't, your game's not going to be live on Steam, and like nobody's going to see you. And then make sure you hit save, back, quit. Let this finish up. And then we're going to go ahead and hit play. So what we're going to do is we're just going to test to make sure that when we subscribe and it downloaded, that mod map is still available to us when we host. So this will be actually a live session on Steam. So capture the flag, just hit test, accept. There we go. And so now we just hope that if we hit game settings, that boom, there it is. So this isn't pulling from our desktop anymore. This is actually pulling from our subscribed workshop items, this map. So I just hit accept. I can select my team as usual. I have all my skins here as well, because these are all the skins that are available in my Steam Workshop folder. And I'll just hit start session, and boom, there we go. This is actually a live, fully operational, fully working version that other people now can actually jump into. They'll automatically download it. Since you're hosting it, they can subscribe to it as well, but it's not necessary. They'll download it if you're hosting it automatically. Yeah, and you can actually play this live right now with your friends on Steam and test it out, make iterations, make changes. Everything should work as normal. Yeah, and I'll show you one last thing here. So I'll quit. If you have a dedicated server that you want to host the map on, then if you have like your power, I don't actually even have a server but on here right now, but you can actually define the map name, which in this case would be demo map, in your dedicated server INI file, located in your dedicated server saved config Windows Server folder. One thing I'll show you too really quick is if you're doing dedicated servers, you can get the name, like if you've downloaded a mod or a map mod that's not the one that you made and you don't know the name of the actual map file name that you want to put into your dedicated server INI, just go ahead and subscribe to the mod you want to host on your dedicated server. Host a game. And what I've done is under game settings, I've actually added, so you have the map name is just demo map, but I've also put a little pipe in here, and then I've actually given you the actual name of the map, the file name right here. So you can just type that in, just demo map with no spaces, right in your dedicated server INI, and that will actually load this particular map that you're subscribed to. So I hope this helps, and that's actually the end of this map modding demo. And of course, if you have any questions, you can come talk to us on Discord, and I'm sure there might be some guides coming up soon and whatnot. But I hope you guys really have a fun time with this, and we're really, really proud of it. And just let me know if you have any questions on Discord, and I'll be there to help. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.